fake humility. But deep inside him, he's a wolf. Do we have such people today in offices? People who do what we call eye service. When the director is there, they act as if they are the good one. When the pastor is there, they act as if they are the best one. But behind that, they knew nothing. They choose title above the true leadership. They believe that being at the forefront is what makes them leader. Calling them apostle, prophet, teacher, archbishop, that is not leadership. That is not the real thing. Forget about manipulators. Forget about those politicians, those who are politicizing everything. Instead of following the right thing, they are busy doing that. He said that as long as you do what you ought to do, he said you are going to have what it takes. Yes, here we are. This evening we want to deliberate on another topic on our leadership series. What are we trying to say today? We want to discuss on how to rise in this kingdom. How to rise as a leader in this kingdom. How to rise. What do we mean? Every kingdom, every organization, every family has the way they do their things. We call it culture. Sometimes call it tradition. We call it method, a system, a style. The way they do their things. So this day, we want to deliberate on how to rise in this kingdom. We want to study this promotion system of this kingdom, so that indeed you will be able to rule, lead your generation in accordance with the will of God. So we are here to study the promotions system, how we rise here. And without wasting our time, I want to tell you the truth, that in this kingdom, there is no automatic promotion. In this kingdom, in real leadership, there's no automatic promotion. There is none. There is none. So anyone trying to tell you that there is automatic it is not there. There are rules, there are principles, laid down rules that when you follow, you arrive at the leadership that you desire. What do we mean? Principles makes life predictable, makes leadership predictable. If you can follow the right principle, I promise you, the real leadership has nothing to do with color. The real leadership has nothing to do with age. The real leadership has nothing to do with gender. If you can apply the necessary and the right principle, the right laid down rules, you arrive at the same position, at the same place. So today we want to show us one or two things that will help to lead us, more especially the young leaders. Something that will help us to do what? To achieve our desired goal. Just like we said before, that leadership is nothing but influence. How to inspire people. Whenever we talk about leadership, it's just about inspiring people. How to influence people to achieve a worldwide goal. So those things in their mind, those things they plan to do, leadership training like this or leadership teaching like this is to help you to direct your path so that you will become that which God has designed you to be. So without wasting our time, I want to quickly go to the book of Luke. Let me lay a foundation. In book of Luke chapter 14, I want to read from verse 28 down to 33, but I may not read it all. Like I said, why I will not read all is because I'm dealing with young leaders. Young leaders are very, very inquisitive. They are ready to go back to what I quoted and study them more. So we want to start from verse 28. For which of you, wishing to build a farm building, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see whether he has sufficient means to finish it? Otherwise, when he has laid the foundation and is unable to complete the building, all who see it will begin to mock and jeer at him. What am I trying to say? That there is no automatic promotion in this kingdom. There is no shortcut in this kingdom if you are looking for lasting leadership. Lasting leadership. If you are going to lead, and your leadership will profit mankind, will profit you. There is no corner. You don't need to cut corners. Here is telling us at the beginning that if you wish to build anything, that there's something you must do. That first and foremost, you need to sit down, think, sit down, think, study the what? The promotion system of that organization, of that church, of whatever you desire to do. Sit down and think, calculate. That is it. Count the cost, the price of what you intend to do. He said, which of you intend to build, without sitting down and calculate? Why we are saying this is that this has been a major problem among young leaders. Our society, our environment has painted a big picture in the heart of men and women, more especially young leaders, that there's always a shortcut. But the same society failed to tell them that shortcut will cut their destinies short. Shortcut will destroy their joy. You know, that's why Bible will always say that there's a way that seems right in the eyes of men, but the end thereof is death. So this day, I just want to borrow a leaf from what we taught on our previous video. This time around, we want to have a case study about a family. Just we want to use a family as a case study. Which family are we trying to use? The family of David. We want to use the family of David as a case study on how we rise in this kingdom. How leadership, how men pilot their leadership ability in this kingdom. We just want to use the family of David as a case study. Why? David in this point have two young men. Two young men. These two young men are of same father. These two young men are from the same kingdom. These two young men at the same time are from the same palace. They virtually eat the same food, have the same environment, but at the end of this study, we realize that both of them have different results altogether. And these two young men happens to be Absalom and Solomon. Both of them are from the same father. Both of them are from the same kingdom. Both of them are from the same palace. Both of them are in the same environment generally. Everything are same. But their what? Their results differs. What they achieve differs. Why? That is what we want to deliberate now. Because until you understand how we rise in this kingdom, you are going to make the same mistake one of them did. You know, many a times people assume, if I should go to America, if I go to Europe, if I should go to Africa, if I should go to Asia, I will achieve more. I will gain this, I will gain that. My brother and my sister, my young leader listening to me, it has nothing to do with environment. It has to do with your understanding. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with color. It has to do with what? Your knowledge. It is the knowledge you acquire, the skill you acquire, the strategy, the cost you are willing to pay, the price you are willing to pay that will distinguish you from others. Why? Because it is what you know that others don't know that separate boys from men. So this day, I want to share with you that it is possible for you to be in the same company, same organization, same church, same economy, same country, and you will definitely obtain different results. You can have the same father, the same mother, and still have different results. That is what we want to share today. And we want to start with the first person that happens to be Absalom. I want us to see the difference between Absalom and Solomon. The first person, let's quickly go to book of 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 15. 2 Samuel chapter 15. We want to get there. 2 Samuel chapter 15. 2 Samuel chapter 15. And we will start reading from verse 1. How do we say? After this, Absalom got a chariot and horses and 50 men to run before him. And he rose up early and stood beside the gateway. And when any man who had a controversy came to the king for judgment, Absalom called to him, "Of what city are you?" And he would say, "Your servant is of such and such a tribe of Israel." Absalom would say to him, Your claims are good and right, but there is no man appointed as the king's agent to hear you. 4. Absalom added, "Oh, that I were judge in the land. Then every man with any suit or case might come to me, and I will do him justice. And whenever a man come near to do obeisance to him, he will put out his hand, take hold of him, and kiss him." Thus Absalom did to all Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the heart of the men of Israel. Do you hear now? Absalom is a what? From the same father. Solomon is from the same father. Here is telling us two young men who lead in their generation, who attain leadership position in their generation, and the way they attend and the way they lead in their generation. Absalom, in my own understanding, I can call him a gate man. I can call him what? A gate man. What do I mean by a gate man? A gate man kind of leadership. Bible said in verse 1 of 2 Samuel chapter 15 that Absalom got chariots and horses and hired 50 men. He hired men to run before him. The Bible said he stood at the gates. He was there trying to cut corners. He refused to go inside the palace where matters are being judged. He refused to go into the palace to learn, to study on how to lead. He maintained his way at the gates. He was at the gate trying to manipulate his way. Many young men and young women today, they have been deceived that it's all about title, that it's all about positions. And because of that, we are messing up. We don't know that there is a price to pay. We don't know that there is a calculation to make. Absalom, according to the Bible, will stand and say, "Oh, how I wish I am the king. I will do the justice. I will judge. I will do this. I will do that." When Absalom was at the gate, his father was inside, leading Israel. His father was inside, doing things in accordance with the way it ought to be in the palace. But Absalom was busy at the gate, making all kinds of statements. Look at the way the Bible put the attitude and the character of Absalom. Let me show you in book of Proverbs chapter 21 verse 16. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 16. Let me show you what he was doing at the gate. How the Bible described it. Proverbs chapter 21. Proverbs 21 verse 16. Let all of us see what he was doing at the gate. A man who wanders out of the way of understanding shall abide in the congregation of the spirit of the dead. A man, a woman, a boy, a girl, anyone who wants to lead but chooses to wander out of the way of understanding shall abide, shall end in the congregation of the spirit of death. Absalom wanted to lead his generation. Absalom wanted to be the king. Absalom wanted to be the CEO. Absalom wanted to be the leader. Absalom wanted to be the GO, the general overseer of the church. Absalom wanted to be the leader in his family. But look at it now. He lacked understanding. The Bible says that any man who wanders out of the way of understanding will undoubtedly end in the congregation of the dead. We all know the stories of Absalom. We all know where he ended. But because of my time, I want to go hand in hand with both of them so we can compare and contrast. The second young man that is from the same father, from the same kingdom, from the same palace is Solomon. I can call him in his own part houseboy. Why do I use the word houseboy? The other one was a gate man. He always at the gate. When the issues of life are being deliberated inside the palace, Absalom will stay at the gate, manipulating his way, thinking that that is the best way to lead. Thinking that that is the best way to lead his generation. But look at the houseboy as Solomon. Let me show you who he was in book of Proverbs. Book of Proverbs chapter 1. Let's start from his own part. Proverbs chapter 1. Let's hear him. We want to read Proverbs chapter 1, reading from verse 1 to 5. The Proverbs, truths obscurely expressed, maxims and parables of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, that people may know skillful and godly wisdom and instruction, discern and comprehend the words of understanding and insight, receive instruction in wise dealing and the discipline of the wise, thoughtfulness, righteousness, justice and integrity. Let me read this place again. Receive instruction in wise dealing and the discipline of wise thoughtfulness, righteousness, justice and integrity, that prudence may be given to the simple, and knowledge, discretion and discernment to the youth. To who? To the young leader. 5. The wise also will hear and increase in learning, and the person of understanding will acquire skill and attend to sound counseling, so that he may be able to steer his course rightly. If I should sit down to deliberate on this verse, you begin to see that these two young men came from the same father, from the same kingdom, from the same palace. But one seated at the gate trying to manipulate his way, while the other one is trying to tell us that when we talk about leadership, integrity is important. When we talk about leadership, understanding is important. When we talk about leadership, comprehension, insight, discipline, thoughtfulness, righteousness, justice are involved. But the other boy, who happens to be the gate man, knew nothing about this. He believed that it's all about title. He believed that it's all about position. Today, a lot of young leaders have been deceived. We will see them where they are fighting, rubbing shoulders in offices, rubbing shoulders in churches, rubbing shoulders in different organizations, instead of them to sit down and study the promotional system of the company, instead of sitting down to monitor how things are being done in that family, in that ministry, in that organization, so that you'll be able to be promoted, so you'll be able to rise in accordance with the will of God, so that you'll be able to fulfill your destiny. The Bible said that Absalom was at the gate manipulating his way, trying to manipulate everybody. When people are coming, Bible said he will bend down, hold them, hug them. Fake humility. But deep inside him, he's a wolf. Do we have such people today in offices? People who do what we call eye service. Eye service. When the director is there, they act as if they are the good ones. When the pastor is there, they act as if they are the best one. But behind that, they knew nothing. They choose title above the true leadership. They choose title, positions. They thought They believed that being at the forefront is what makes them leader. Calling them apostle, prophet, teacher, archbishop, that is not leadership. That is not the real thing. Absalom continues saying, how I wish I'm the king. I'm the king, I will do this. But look at it now. The Bible said he lacked understanding. And according to Proverbs 21 verse 16, he said anyone that lack understanding will end in the congregation of the dead. And that was where Absalom ended. But look at Solomon. Solomon is telling us that if undoubtedly you are going to lead your generation, you need what? You need skillful and godly wisdom. You need proper instruction. You need discernment. You need to comprehend the word called leadership. You have to understand and have insight over what you are pursuing. He said when you receive what? Wisdom. Everything you are doing, you have to discipline yourself. You have to live righteousness. You have to judge with justice and integrity. He said prudence matters. Discretion. He said that the wise ones that will lead well. What did the verse 5 say? The wise also will hear. They are willing to listen. And they will always increase in what? In learning. And the person of understanding will acquire skill. The skill of today will not be enough to lead tomorrow's people. The skill of yesterday is not enough to lead the next generation. Look at what the Bible tells us about Solomon's tale. Let me show you still in Proverbs chapter what? Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4. Let me read from verse 1 down to 7. But I may stop anywhere. Hear, my sons, the instruction of a father, and pay attention in order to gain and to know intelligent discernment, comprehension and interpretation of spiritual matters. Pay what? Hear, O my sons. This is who talking now? This is Solomon. This is the wise man talking. This is a man who knew how to receive proper instruction. He is not trying to transfer the same instruction to others. Look at what he's telling us here. Say, hear, my sons, the instruction of a father. Now he has become a father. He's no more a houseboy. And they pay attention in order to gain and to know what? Intelligence, discretion, comprehension, and interpretation of spiritual matters. For I give you good doctrine. What is to be received, do not forsake my teaching. What a statement. What a divine leader. What a godly leader talking. He said, do not forsake my teaching. He said, when I, Solomon, was a son with my father David, tender and the only son in the sight of my mother Bathsheba. Look at him. He's telling you where he got his wisdom. He taught me and said to me, let your heart hold fast my words. Keep my commandment and live. 5. Get skillful and godly wisdom. Get understanding, discernment, comprehension, and interpretation. Do not forget and do not turn back from the words of my mouth. What a statement. He's telling us that he sat before his father, he sat before his mother, and he had instruction. While Absalom was at the gate manipulating himself because he was manipulating himself, he said what? Forsake not wisdom, and she will keep you. Defend and protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. He said the beginning of wisdom is to get what? The beginning of wisdom is to get wisdom. Skillful and godly wisdom. For skillful and godly wisdom is the principal thing. And with all you have gotten, get understanding, discernment, comprehension, and interpretation. What are we saying? These two young men in their own, they don't understand what we are doing. This one was by his father's side, learning. Young Solomon that is listening to me, you may look like a fool today because you are busy acquiring skills. You are busy learning. You are busy knowing what you ought to know. And the Absalom is busy maneuvering himself in that office, in that church, in that organization. And you look like a fool. Never mind. Hello? Never mind. Why do I say never mind? Look at what the Bible tells us in the book of Ezekiel chapter 21. Let me show you the reason why I said never mind. Ezekiel chapter 21. Ezekiel 21. I want to read verse 27. Ezekiel. He said, I will overthrow it. This also shall be no more until it comes whose right it is to reign in judgment and in righteousness, and I will give it to him. What a statement. God is telling me to tell the young Solomon listening to me, that young leader, forget about manipulators. Forget about those politicians, those who are politicizing everything instead of following the right thing. They are busy doing that. He said that as long as you do what you ought to do, he said you are going to have what it takes. Let me quickly run down this thing that I'm trying to show you. I put it this way: making a promotional chart. You need to make a promotion chart. Within your organization, look upward to the most senior position that can be held in that organization, in that church, in that company, wherever you find yourself. Within that organization, look upward to the most senior positions that can be held, or the highest you could possibly expect yourself to aim for. It's an assignment I'm giving you now. Check in that organization. Check in that office. I want you to look upward. Check the highest position you will like to do what? Possibly obtain. And when you do that, I want to give you just 4 points so you can go and digest. The first one is what? Look at the lowest mark in that organization. Look at the lowest mark. Who is at the bottom? Then the second thing I want to do is what? Check all the steps between the lowest mark, meaning where you are at that point in time, and where you ought to be or where you desire to be. Check all the steps in between. When we talk about steps in between, means what kind of skill do I need to acquire if I must be the managing director of this company? If I must be the general overseer of this church, what kind of education, what kinds of exposure, what kind of knowledge do I need to acquire? Check all the steps in between. If you need to study more, if you need to get your PhD in order to attain to that position, find it. If you need practical, maybe computer knowledge, do that. If you need some little conferences and ideas, do that. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Solomon said, I sat in between my parents and I listened to them. I saw how my father had been doing something. You know, today, most of us preachers, we quickly push it to people, more especially 1 Kings chapter 3, that it was the sacrifices, the money, or what have you, Solomon sowed that gave him wisdom. My dear, listen and listen carefully. I am not saying that sowing seed is wrong. I'm not saying that people don't obtain grace by giving seeds. But I'm trying to tell you that if you give 1 billion seeds and you refuse to check all the steps in between, if you are there to bribe your way, I promise you, charisma may take you higher, but it takes character to sustain you. If you don't have what it takes to be there, child of God, young leader, you are bound to lose. Check all the steps in between. Know what you ought to do. Now, 3. Now, mark your own place. If I must become this, where exactly am I now? it will help you to know, is it going to take me 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? There was a man called George Weah, the former president of Liberia. He was a footballer. He did well as a footballer. In short, he attained the highest position that no African footballer has ever attained, being the best footballer of the year. After then, he came back to his country, Liberia. He wanted to do what? To rule them. And the people told him that you are not educated. You are not enlightened. What you have, the skill you have currently, will not permit you to do what? To rule us as a president. You may know how to play football, but in this area, you need to acquire political knowledge. And when they said so, the young man went back to school for 12 good years straight, and after then he came back, contested, and became the president of Liberia. Don't maneuver yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Mark your own place so you'll be able to know the skills, the ideas, the exposure, the strategy to get there. Number 4, now list the steps to get there. List it. George Weah were able to do that. You know, when Trump was vying for the presidency some years back, before this second tenure he is now, people were saying he has no political experience, has no political. But they failed to realize that this guy had been in big businesses for many years. What are we saying? Child of God, in this kingdom, there's no automatic promotion. There's no automatic promotion. But principle makes life predictable. Principle makes life predictable. You can see that Absalom ended in the congregation of the dead, but Solomon ended as what? A king at the palace. Why? Because of what? He was able to do the right thing. Don't be deceived. Your problem is not the economy. Your problem is not government policies. Your problem is not your color. Your problem is not your gender. Your problem is not your age. Your problem is your inability to calm down and watch these things I told you. Knowing what you need to know. Solomon told us that I obtained the grace to lead because I listened to instruction. I was by my father. I was by my mother. I saw the way he ruled. Bring yourself down. The Bible said that God resists the proud and He gives grace to humble. As you will check these few points that I have given you today, may the Lord give you the grace to become that in which I have designed you to be. The leader of His generation, the leader of His family, the leader of the church, the leader of God's people. That political position, don't manipulate yourself in. Just decide and check the necessary things needed. And once you do, I promise you that you are already on what I called Leadership Avenue. Congratulations once more. Because by the mercies of God, with these few points I have just laid down this day, I believe that as you meditate on this, the grace of God will be multiplied in your life. Thank you for listening. Let me quickly pray for you. Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray for all my viewers, more especially young leaders. Lord, I pray that you give them the grace to abandon and reject the spirit of Absalom, that rebellious spirit, that manipulative spirit. Lord, I pray that my listeners, you give them the grace to see the difference between that rubbish and pursue the right thing. Lord, give them the grace to live and to learn like Solomon, that they will bring their mind down and follow the steps, count the cost, and be ready to pay the price. Give them the grace to pay the price, oh God, that at the end of everything, we will end as godly leaders, people who will do things in accordance with the will of God. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for blessing these ones. For in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. I want to plead with you that same time tomorrow, I want you to quickly come. And as you come, The Lord will bless you. We will still treat more leadership principles that will help you as a young leader to move forward. Check all our social media platforms, our YouTube, our Facebook, our Instagram, our X, and our TikTok. As we check all these things, I promise you will see a lot of things there. There are a lot of things that God in His own infinite mercy will help you. At the same time, you can write us. You can comment. At the same time, you can like, you can share. Spread this word. Let more young leaders get to understand what they ought to know. Thank you. See you next time in our next edition. God bless you.